Because, Mark, the extradition rules here are very interesting. The American government obviously want him to, a British citizen, to be taken from Britain, taken to America and trialled in America. Why can't they do it here in the UK? You've been to the House of Lords as a family, haven't you? You've been to the European Court of Human Rights.
Yeah.
None of them will help. Why does he have to be taken to America to be tried?
He can be tried here. The British government could choose to try him if they wanted to, but the Americans would have to agree. The difference that we have here is that all that is on the table is an extradition request, and after 2003, extradition became imbalanced between the UK and the US. We still have to show that there's a case that should be properly brought, probable cause, they call it in America. We call it a prima facie case, basically an outline of a case. That was removed for the US, and all that they have to do now is basically say, here's an arrest warrant, we would like him, please. And frankly, there's not much you can do to resist after that's done. It's gone from being a legal process, which actually measures the merits of the case, to something which is just an administrative request. If they get their papers in order, they get their man.
So how positive are you, or even remotely optimistic, that they stand any chance at all?
Well, I'm afraid I'm not at all remotely optimistic at all, and I can give very little comfort to the McKinnon family. After the case of the NatWest 3, which many viewers will remember, where three people, three bankers from the City of London, were dragged off to Texas, the rules have been made pretty clear that there's virtually nothing that the British authorities can do. And indeed, Lord Goodhart in the House of Lords said, whilst there is this imbalance between the US and the UK, where effectively we're the lapdogs of the Americans in terms of extradition, that we should suspend the arrangements until they're put on a parity and equal footing. And I think there's many of us in the legal profession that believe that that's the proper rule, but it's not the rule at the moment.
So British citizens, and it says, you know, it says on my passport, without let or hindrance, and so a Brit can be hooked out of Britain and sent over there, and the Americans have got their schemes in place to prevent that from happening. I mean, that seems the most extraordinary imbalance.
Well, it is, and particularly since there's a cultural difference. There's also, as was alluded to, in terms of the nature of the way in which we look at these as crimes, and also the Americans are peculiarly humorless about people who are hackers looking for UFOs. It's not something which is really regarded as the highest priority in Britain. Here we're looking for Al-Qaeda and terrorists. Over there, where perhaps we think that they should be looking for Al-Qaeda and terrorists, they seem to be looking for Gary McKinnon, and that does seem to me to be more than bonkers.
Well, the Home Office statement here says the UK takes its international obligations seriously, and in this case, its extradition treaty obligations to the USA. The US request for McKinnon's extradition has received the closest judicial oversight and has withstood all of the challenges mounted. But whilst the case remains before the courts, we do not propose to comment further.
Well, of course, the point about that, Fern, is that they created the government, the self-same Home Office that made that statement, created this imbalance, this tilt in favour of the Americans, this presumption that they will get their man. And so, of course, it's going to withstand any judicial scrutiny because it was specially designed that way. It's like playing on the football pitch at Yeovil Town. It's all uphill.
I mean, it looks particularly heavy-handed, especially in light of what you've been telling us today. But what will it do to Gary if he, as Fern said, you know, this is someone who's terrified of flying, would hate to travel. So assuming that you do lose and he is extradited and he does stand trial in America, not only is there the terror of actually getting there, but he may end up in an American prison.
Well, it would be a very heavy American prison because in the past, apart from the NatWest 3, because Tony Blair intervened, they are put in very hardline prisons where they use stun guns, there's male rape, there's terrible things going there. And if they can say that one guy in his bedroom and a dial-up computer that was 800 times slower than today's broadband can bring down the American military, God, we've got a problem. I mean, they really ought to up their security. But Gary is devastated. It's taken a toll on him mentally already. He's, as he said, he's controlled on the outside, but the fires of hell are burning inside. He's not coping. We're all not coping. because it's so close to the end, and it's been a 7-year sentence.
Yeah.
Most people would think that the American government should ask Gary McKinnon to help them repair their systems and make sure nobody else can get in.
Pull him in, rather
Absolutely. But there is one piece of light at the end of the tunnel, which is that if he is sent to jail in America, after a short period of imprisonment in America, he will be able to and eligible to apply to serve the balance of his sentence here in the UK. And as a consequence of that, he would be able to come back here and he would be entitled to remission for good behaviour.
What time are you in court tomorrow?
10 o'clock. Can I say something about
Yes.
the repatriation? There's a young English girl called Chantal McCorkle. She was jailed in America for 25 years for doing infomercials saying that people could do up property and make money. They bought the videos, lost money. After 10 years, she said, "Can I be repatriated?" They said, "No, your crime's too serious." She's in a hardline prison in America with chains round her for selling videos telling you how to make money from property. It's insanity. To me, the American justice system is nothing like our justice system. And we've got a new director of public prosecutions. He's written 6 books on human rights. His wife is a solicitor, and she works with disadvantaged children. He said he's seriously considering Gary's case. He needs 4 weeks to do this. So tomorrow in court, what we're going to ask the judge is to please give us a stay of that 4 weeks, because I believe in this Director of Public Prosecutions. I think he's a good man. He's a newly appointed man, and we need to have the adjournment.
Well, we'll be watching very closely.
Yes, we
and
will.
thank you very much for coming in today.
Perhaps you'll let
Thank
us
you.
know
And
tomorrow
thank you,
what
Mark.
the
Well,
outcome
it could
is.
be the end, so it's very scary tomorrow.
Very scary.
Yeah.
Thank you. We'll be thinking of it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.